Breaking news is rocking the entire NBA world right now, and if you're a Golden State Warriors fan, you might want to sit down for this because what we're about to talk about could completely change the future of this franchise. The phrase packing the bags is being whispered everywhere, from locker rooms to front offices, from insiders to former players, and even the league itself has now stepped into the conversation. An unexpected trade, officially acknowledged at the NBA level, has sent shockwaves through the basketball universe, and the Golden State Warriors are right at the center of it all. This is not just another rumor, not just another clickbait headline. This is one of those moments where history quietly starts moving in a new direction before fans even realize what's happening. For years, the Warriors have been defined by stability at the top. Stephen Curry became the face of the franchise, a symbol of loyalty, excellence, and championship culture. Alongside him, names like Draymond Green and Klay Thompson created a dynasty that dominated the league and changed the way basketball is played forever. But dynasties don't last forever, and every great era eventually reaches a crossroads. What we're seeing right now feels exactly like one of those crossroads, the kind that forces management to ask uncomfortable questions and make decisions that fans might not be ready for. Over the past few weeks, the noise around the Warriors has been getting louder. It started quietly, as it always does. A few insiders hinting that the front office is exploring options. A couple of vague comments from league executives about movement and flexibility. Then suddenly, NBA confirmation enters the picture, and that's when things shift from speculation to something far more serious. When the league itself acknowledges unusual trade activity connected to one of its most iconic teams, you know something big is brewing behind the scenes. The phrase packing the bags isn't being used lightly here. It suggests finality. It suggests a player, or maybe more than one, is mentally preparing for a new chapter. And the most shocking part is that this unexpected trade doesn't fit the usual Warriors narrative. Golden State has always been careful, methodical, almost conservative when it comes to major moves involving their core. But this time feels different. This time, the urgency is real, and the stakes are higher than ever. Think about where the Warriors are right now. They're not rebuilding, but they're not dominating either. They're stuck in that dangerous middle ground where you're good enough to compete but not good enough to feel confident about winning it all. For a franchise that has tasted multiple championships, that kind of limbo is unacceptable. The front office knows it. The coaching staff knows it. And most importantly, the players know it. There have been subtle signs. Body language on the bench. Shorter answers in interviews. Carefully worded statements that avoid commitment to long-term futures. When players start talking more about the present than the future, that's usually a signal that they know change is coming. And now, with NBA confirmation of unexpected trade discussions, those signals are impossible to ignore. What makes this situation even more dramatic is the timing. This isn't happening after a catastrophic collapse or a complete failure of a season. This is happening while the Warriors are still relevant, still dangerous, still capable of beating anyone on any given night. That's what makes the idea of someone packing their bags so shocking. It suggests a proactive move, not a reactive one. A decision to reshape the team before it's too late. Fans are divided, and understandably so. Some believe this is the right move, that the Warriors need fresh energy, new legs, and a different dynamic to maximize the remaining prime years of Stephen Curry. Others feel betrayed at the thought of breaking up a core that has given them unforgettable memories, championships, and a sense of identity. Both sides have valid points, and that's what makes this moment so emotionally charged. Let's talk about the human side of this for a second. Trades aren't just transactions on paper. They're lives being uprooted. Families moving. Friendships tested. When we say someone is packing the bags, we're talking about a player coming to terms with leaving a city, a fanbase, and a locker room that might feel like home. For a Warriors player, that means leaving one of the most passionate and loyal fanbases in sports. That's not an easy thing to process. The NBA confirming unexpected trade activity adds another layer of seriousness. The league doesn't comment on every rumor. It doesn't step into every conversation. When it does, it's usually because something has reached a point where it can no longer be ignored. This confirmation doesn't mean the trade is already done, but it does mean that the wheels are turning, and once they start turning at this level, they're hard to stop. One of the most fascinating aspects of this story is how quiet the Warriors organization has been. No strong denials. No aggressive pushback. Just silence. And in the NBA, silence often speaks louder than words. If nothing was happening, we'd likely hear something by now. A statement. A leak. A reassurance. Instead, we're getting none of that, which suggests the front office is fully focused on navigating a very delicate situation. Imagine being in that front office right now. On one hand, you have loyalty, legacy, and history. On the other hand, you have pressure, expectations, and the brutal reality of a league that never stands still. Other teams are getting younger, faster, and more aggressive. Standing still isn't an option. Doing nothing might be the biggest risk of all. This unexpected trade could involve a veteran presence, someone whose name is synonymous with the Warriors' success. Or it could involve a younger player, someone with potential who hasn't fully clicked within the system. Either way, the message would be clear: the Warriors are not satisfied with the status quo. They're willing to make bold moves to stay competitive at the highest level. The phrase "packing the bags" has also sparked intense speculation about timing. Is this happening now, or is it being set up for later? Sometimes trades are agreed upon in principle long before they're officially announced. Sometimes players know weeks in advance that they're on the move, even if the public doesn't. That psychological weight can affect performance, focus, and chemistry, which might explain some of the inconsistencies fans have noticed recently. From a strategic standpoint, this move could be about maximizing value. The Warriors' front office is known for thinking ahead. They know that waiting too long can reduce a player's trade value. They know that sentimentality can be costly in a league driven by results. If they believe now is the moment to act, they won't hesitate, no matter how painful the decision might be. For Stephen Curry, this moment is especially significant. As the leader of the team, every major decision inevitably reflects on him, even if he's not directly involved in making it. How does he feel about potential changes? Is he pushing for a move to increase the team's championship chances? Or is he trying to hold on to familiar faces for the sake of continuity? We may not know the answers, but it's impossible to imagine a move of this magnitude happening without his input being at least considered. The locker room atmosphere right now must be intense. Players talking in hushed tones. Glances exchanged. Everyone wondering who's safe and who's not. When trade rumors reach this level, no one feels completely secure. And that tension can either tear a team apart or galvanize it, depending on how it's handled. What makes this story even more compelling is how unexpected it truly is. This isn't something fans were bracing for. This isn't something that had been widely predicted months in advance. This came out of nowhere, which suggests urgency. Something has changed behind the scenes. A realization. A disagreement. A new opportunity that the Warriors feel they can't afford to pass up. The NBA confirming unusual trade activity also raises questions about league-wide implications. Other teams are watching closely. If the Warriors are willing to make a bold move, it could trigger a chain reaction. One trade often leads to another, and before you know it, the entire balance of power in the league shifts. That's how fragile and interconnected the NBA ecosystem really is. For Warriors fans, this is a moment of reflection. It forces you to think about what you value more, loyalty or winning, legacy or evolution. The reality is that you can't always have both. Every dynasty faces this moment eventually, where hard choices must be made to avoid a slow, painful decline. As the phrase "packing the bags" continues to echo across social media and sports talk shows, one thing is clear: this story is far from over. The confirmation from the NBA is just the beginning. The next steps will define the Warriors' direction for years to come. Whether this trade ultimately happens or not, the fact that it's even being seriously considered marks a turning point. The coming days and weeks will be filled with speculation, debate, and emotional reactions. Fans will analyze every word, every game, every lineup change for clues. Players will continue to answer questions carefully, knowing that anything they say could be interpreted as a hint. And the front office will keep working quietly, weighing options, calculating risks, and preparing for the fallout of whatever decision they make. No matter how this unfolds, one thing is certain: the Golden State Warriors are entering a new phase. The comfort of the past is giving way to the uncertainty of the future. And in the NBA, uncertainty is often the birthplace of greatness or regret. So as we wait for the final word, remember this moment. Remember how it felt when the idea of someone packing their bags first entered the conversation. Because years from now, fans will look back and say this was the moment when everything started to change. The moment when the Warriors chose to either cling to their past or gamble on their future. And whichever path they choose, it will define the next chapter of one of the greatest franchises in basketball history.